for me, if you're one of those runners out there that found the Superblast 2 too firm and you're a bit disappointed by that shoe, then all those qualities you're probably looking at in that shoe, you're gonna find it in this shoe. So, testing's complete and the scores are in, and this is the full review of the Nike Zoomfly 6. But before we get into it, and if you guys haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And with the specs, so this one is a neutral road running shoe, and I'm gonna put it in the super trainer category. $260 here in Australia, coming in at $170 in the US. Now in the weight, the website states that this is 265 grams, 9.3 ounces in a men's size 9. However, this is a US 8.5, so half a size under that. My shoe is coming way under that. So this is only weighing for me 8.4 ounces or 238 grams. Now that is lighter than the Superblast 2 and only just heavier than some of the race shoes out there in my size. So that is pretty good weight there. So I don't know what Nike are doing there. They are selling themselves very short in the weight category with this shoe. Now in the stack, we got a really big stack here. So we've got 42 in the rear and 34 in the front, and that's gonna give us a 8mm drop. And in the scores, so for the price, so this shoe represents amazing value, and you are going to find out as the review goes on why that is. 9 out of 10. And in the weight, as I said, this weighs a lot lighter than what the official stats say. Very light on the foot. It's a well-balanced shoe. 8.5 out of 10. And in the upper, so the material that they're using here is engineered woven. Now this material it doesn't look like it's going to be very breathable because this mesh is just so tightly woven together. It sort of reminds me of what you would see like in a football shoe, but it's certainly not that. This mesh is breathable, which is just great. We've got a really solid heel counter at the back in a really tall Achilles flare, but I quite like that. In the padding department, quite a lot of padding here, especially around that heel flare. Really nice. A little bit of padding on the tongue. I really like what they've done with the padding on the tongue. So they've just got it across the top of the top of the foot there. It's just like in the shape of a T, and then yeah, that T shape runs down the middle of the foot, and it really does a great job to take the laces pressure off without the tongue being too bulky. It's got a nice wing fit cut as well, so it sits nicely on top of the foot. The rest of the tongue is meshed, just adding to that breathability. Lacing system pretty standard, so no internal straps. With the laces themselves, they are thin, but they're quite robust, but I've had no issues with those coming undone on any of my runs. Lockdown, excellent, no issues. Fit, true to size in the length. Toe box width, for me, it's normal. There's no rubbing or anything like that, and the volume in the toe box I find is quite nice as well. So it's not so tight where I feel constricted, and it's not so loose where I feel like my foot is flapping around all over the place. Build quality pretty good here from Nike, and stepping comfort is excellent. Now in the scores, apart from the shoe looking something like it's come from the future, it looks pretty ugly to me. Apart from that, it actually works. It's very comfortable, it's breathable, it does the job. 8.5 out of 10. And in the outsole, so Nike are using their tried and tested waffle design here. So historically, this grip does well in the durability department, so it wears down quite slowly. And grip, it performs really well in pretty much most conditions as well. So it's not the grippiest or the best grip on the market, but it's certainly up there. So there's not much slippage in this shoe, even in the challenging conditions. Now we've got a fair bit of rubber here, so lots of rubber coverage. Pretty much that entirety of the forefoot is covered. Lots of exposed foam through the middle of the shoe, and just some rubber in the high wear areas at the back. But as I said, it's showing minimal signs of wear, like up around 100 kilometers in this shoe as well. What we've also got there in the middle of the shoe, we can see that window there with that exposed fly plate, and a really big cavity through the middle of the shoe as well. And also got a little bit of a bit of exposed foam here through the front of the shoe. But what I'd probably like to see in this outsole is probably a little less rubber. I think they could be a little bit more smarter with where they place it. But overall, performance-wise, it's excellent. 8.5 out of 10. And in the midsole, so they've got the dual density thing going on here. So two types of foam. So you can see on the side of the shoe, it's printed ZoomX. But don't be fooled by that, because the entirety of the shoe is not ZoomX. There is ZoomX in the shoe, and that is just this thinner top layer of foam. So that is, there's brand Super Foam. If you haven't heard of ZoomX, they use it in all their top tier racing shoes. It's probably the market leader when it comes to super foams, or it has been for quite a number of years now. So that's the top layer. That is just under the foot there, and that's just where you want your super foam, so you can feel it in the shoe. Your foot can sink into it, and you can get that nice magical feeling that super foam provides. Now, under your ZoomX layer, you have got a fly plate, or a carbon plate is what they're calling it. Now, I'm not convinced that this is a traditional carbon plate, because you could not do this with a real carbon plate, because it would crack. You would hear it crack all over the place. So I suspect it's like a carbon resin plate or something along those lines. Probably got some carbon properties in it, but certainly not your traditional one. But yeah, a bit of play there. But I think it's just flexible enough. So I think it does a good job just to add a little bit of rigidity of the shoe, but you don't want this training shoe too stiff. And under the fly plate, they've got another type of foam. So this is their SRO2 foam. It makes up the majority of the foam in the shoe. Now, they have used that in other models with some varying success. I certainly didn't like it in the previous model of this shoe. I thought it really took away from the experience of the shoe. But thankfully, whatever they've done to this SRO2 foam, it has worked. So I'm just really surprised with how soft it is and how compliant it is. Works really well with the ZoomX here. Now, geometry-wise, they have got some forefoot rocker geometry. Now, it's not an aggressive rocker by any means. It's a early sort of stage rocker. Starts further back in the shoe here. And it's a much gentler rock forward, so you're not going to feel like you're aggressively tipping forward. And with this nice gentle rocker, that means it's more accommodating at a wider range of paces. And in the ride, so this is a very unique experience. So it is soft, so especially through the heel, super soft, lots of squish, but you get lots of bounce. So pretty bouncy shoe, especially through the rear and through the midfoot. And in the forefoot, it's actually quite responsive, even though it's still soft, but not super soft and squishy. Yeah, more of a responsive, and it's got a bit of pop out of this forefoot, and you can really get going in this shoe. What is amazing about this shoe is just how comfortable it is at all paces. So it's an extremely versatile shoe. Super comfortable at just jogging along. And when you pick up the pace and you get right up on the forefoot, it feels nice and snappy, and it handles that top end pace like, almost like a race shoe, but it's obviously just a little bit heavier than that. Now, in the stability department, it's really soft and squishy through the rear. So if you're a bit of a rear or a heel striker, you may find it a little unstable. If you start striking through the midfoot, the forefoot, it does firm up considerably there, so you won't have too many issues there. In reference to how similar it is to the Vaporfly or the Alphafly, so for me, I think it's got some similarities with the Alphafly if you're striking through the rear of the shoe, and I don't think there is too many similarities once you start coming off the forefoot. It doesn't really remind me of either shoe. If anything, the ride in total reminds me of a really bouncy, responsive Vomero 17, believe it or not. And scores wise, so for me, this is the most versatile shoe that is currently on the market. It doesn't really have a weakness. It's great at jogging, feels great at all paces, doesn't feel clunky at all, and can handle the top end speed. Amazing ride, 9 out of 10. And best use, so as I just mentioned, this shoe will handle anything that you throw at it. Recovery, easy. Your daily trainer, your workout shoe, your tempo, your threshold, your long runs, this can do it all. It can handle your race pace as well. Obviously, it's not going to be quite as magical as those race shoes on the market, but this one can certainly get you up to those top speeds, not a problem at all. And who is this shoe best for? So for me, if you're one of those runners out there that found the Superblast 2 too firm and you're a bit disappointed by that shoe, then all those qualities you're probably looking at in that shoe, you're going to find it in this shoe. So I think it is going to suit the lighter runner a little more than the heavier runner. I think heavier runners might find this shoe a little bit too soft and squishy through the heel. and other options out there if you are considering this shoe. Now this is quite difficult because for me there is no shoe out there that has the range of this shoe. I will mention the Super Blast 2. That is a very versatile shoe that can handle a wide variety of paces, but that shoe is just so much firmer than this shoe. So obviously that one is going to suit heavier runners a little bit more, but for me it doesn't feel as good as just jogging around, and it doesn't have the top end speed that this shoe delivers. Another shoe that I'll mention, which probably could be a little bit controversial because it's a race day shoe, and that is the New Balance SC Elite V4. So for me, that shoe is one of the most versatile shoes on the market. Again, that shoe feels great at jogging, and it can handle all paces up to race pace. However, it's a super shoe, it's a race shoe, and it's got a carbon plate. So it's another level above this one, but it can handle all the stuff that this shoe does, but this one is coming in at a much lower price point, and there's actually not that much difference in the weight between this shoe and also the SC Elite. And as I mentioned before, this shoe comes in for me lighter than the Super Blast 2. The last shoe that I will mention is the Mizuno Neo Vista. So you're going to get the same type of softness, the same type of bounce in that shoe, but the Mizuno Neo Vista doesn't have the top end speed that this shoe delivers either. So nobody saw this shoe coming, did they? Because after the brick that they delivered in the Zoomfly 5, yeah, I certainly didn't expect a banger like this to be released by Nike. So, gee, they've nailed this one. I don't know if they've done it by accident or it was just well planned. But yeah, the versatility of this shoe, absolutely amazing. Great price point. It comes in at great value just because it can handle anything that you throw at it. As you can see there, it has got an amazing score. So there's no real weakness in this shoe, apart from it looks a bit geeky. But overall, yeah, there's no real complaints for me about this shoe. And all my runs have just been a joy to run in. So crazy score there because it's a crazy good shoe. Obviously, it's a definite buy from me. Is this the shoe of the year? I don't know, but it's certainly up there. But anyway, guys, that's it from me. Any questions you've got regarding this shoe, just drop it in the comments below. Again, I've got lots of comparison videos already out between this shoe and other shoes. If you got some more suggestions, drop it in the comments below. I've already got a couple of these coming with some other suggestions, so stay tuned for those. But anyway, thank you for watching. Make sure you give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.